This is the meeting of the Whitman Finance Committee on Tuesday, September 9th at 6:30. All members are present so far, except for Mike Andrews, who has indicated that he will be here tonight, so he may be running a little bit late. I've given you a copy of the formal agenda that I had posted by Mike Ganchert last week. And it contains approval of the meeting minutes. May 5th was already approved, basically because the recorder didn't pick up our conversation at the town meeting. And then June 3rd, we're looking for who was absent to correct that or to finalize that. We have June 11th, July 1st, and July 8th that we just received tonight. And I don't think we're ready to vote on it because I need people to indicate whether or not they were in attendance. I do have in notes at home, I don't have it with me, but I know some meetings were not, all 9 of us weren't here. So if we can get that clarified tonight, that would be good. And then the new business is discuss fiscal 26 adjustments because there's been stuff going on, including the Board of Assessors overlay surplus. That's the big one. And then discuss fiscal 27 changes that we might, as a committee, might want to investigate. What do you want? What would you like to, what information would you like? The fiscal 27 budget is not ready. I asked Mary Beth and she just looked at me and said, forget I asked. So it's probably going to be another month before that's available. And then we have some old business to deal with if it's not too late, just subcommittee reports. DPW building, middle school building, regional agreement, and the capital committee. And I have received no communications. So the first order of business is the meeting minutes, but all I'd like you to do is take a quick look at it and indicate whether or not you were present at June 11th, July 1st, or July 8th.
So I was present June 11th. So this hasn't done it as it had since.
I was present July 8th and June 11th. I was absent July 1st.
Evan, you were absent July?
Absent July 1st, present for the other two.
And Mike, you were absent July 8th.
These are correct, yes. So I was there the 11th, the 1st, but not the 8th of July.
Okay.
I was here for all of it.
That's Jason?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know I was here July 1.
Al, you were here July 1st?
Yeah, because it's right here. I had the minutes in here.
Yep.
Seconded it. And the same, I was here July 8th.
Yep.
I made a motion. I'm not 100% sure about June 11th. I don't think I probably would have been here. I think I would have been here.
And I was
You had 8 people here, right? 5 vote.
I was in attendance for all 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'd like to hold these off till our next meeting so we all get a chance to read them because I don't,
Yeah.
this is too soon to get this much information. So our next meeting is something we'll discuss it. So then we're right into the fiscal 26 adjustments. So if you go to the second piece of paper on the packet that I prepared for tonight, the meeting minutes will put on hold. I received an invitation to attend the Board of Assessors meeting, I believe it was last Tuesday, where they voted to release $225,000 from the overlay reserve to overlay surplus, which overlay reserve is what they have in an account to pay people's, they put in for abatements or somebody's overpaid, so it's reserved. They had over $600,000, I believe, in overlay reserve, and Heidi Hosmer said we don't need that much money. So it was a unanimous vote it was a 3-member committee to transfer $225,000 from overlay reserve to overlay surplus. Essentially what that does is it doesn't transfer it into free cash, but it does make that money available for the town to spend in fiscal 26. If we don't spend it in fiscal 26, then it becomes free cash in fiscal 27. And the big discussion at that meeting, I was invited to attend, so I did, was is the town prepared to recommend that a significant chunk of the $225,000 be spent to refurbish the police and fire department budgets that, as you recall, at the start of town meeting, we were told selectmen had planned to move $75,000 in ambulance receipts to the police and $75,000 in ambulance receipts to the police department. And that $150,000 did not materialize. It was overly ambitious. All of the ambulance receipts had already been spent. So now this is another source of funds. And when I was asked, I was invited to sit at the table, and when I was asked, is the FinCom behind spending the $150,000 on police and fire? I said, no, we haven't met. I can't speak for them. I said, when we walked into town hall, when we were sitting at town hall and heard the announcement that the select board had made that decision as they were entering town meeting, we were taken aback, and I expressed my dismay with the select board for not communicating with us. So I said, I'm not going to say yes or no, we support it, because we haven't had a discussion. So that is one item that I want to discuss. And to back that up, it's not the next page. It's the last page. I've added, if you remember, town meeting did appropriate free cash to hold harmless the veterans agent and the building inspector, including more money for the building inspector than they needed to, but it was pennies. It was not a significant amount. So these are all of the departments that experienced significant cuts to personnel, totaling $617,000. Most of that is police department is $204,000. And the fire is $148,000. But none of these other departments has had a chance to go in and plead their case that I'm down a person, and if there is money available, whether it's a full-time person or a part-time person, they should have a chance at the 225, some of the 225. So right now, I guess I'll open to discussion. Does anyone have a strong feeling on how this $225,000 should be spent, if it's spent? Because it can also be not spent and go into free cash, and we just leave the budgets the way they are right now.
So, as a point of clarification, would there need to be approval from a special town meeting to spend this money?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't spend anything.
Right, we're just going to make, so this is just based on what is our recommendation for doing that, and then town meeting needs to approve it.
Yes, I think the process would be, the select board would vote what they want to do with this surplus. We'd be asked for a recommendation on what to do with this surplus, and then would go to a special town meeting if we have one.
And do we know what the select board?
They're looking at 150. That's the recommendation from the select board to go to fire, police.
Yes,
75 each.
75
75.
police and
What's,
75 different.
what about the rest of the 75,000 that's left over?
That's kind of the question, right?
Well, the question's the whole thing, but then, yeah.
Right.
Justin?
Yeah, if I could
Oh,
jump in.
good.
Justin, you can
I would
wait.
also say that we haven't discussed what to do with this funding. The 150,000 for public safety was based on projected ambulance receipts that have not materialized. So this is still an open question if the board would want to use this kind of one-time money and not something that, in theory, could grow in the future to backfill the budget.
So there's not really a plan with the other 75?
So this, the assessors approached us with this. We may have some extra money. It came at a convenient time. And again, I think the last select board meeting was the only time we talked about it in the meeting. But at least in my mind, it came at a convenient time when it looked like ambulance receipts were going to come in, either at what we conservatively projected for the budget or even a little lower. So there's other areas that, we discussed. I'm sure it's on your agenda for later on, but like indirect costs for trash, that kind of stuff that would be more recurring expenses may help out. Got a chance in a minute too. But Kathy's right. This would be the select board would put together the warrant. It would come to you guys for a recommendation, then special town meeting gets to act on it. So there's still a lot of steps to spend any of this money if we choose to spend it.
If we choose to spend it, because this essentially is free cash. This is one-time funds. This is not recurring funds that people are discussing spending on recurring expenses, which I thought was a policy voted against by the select board, that they did not want to spend one-time funds on recurring expenses. So
Yeah.
when do we have a policy and when do we not?
Right.
Chuck?
I'd like to just kind of back up to see, was this something, a new assessor recognized? Is that typically, what does that fund stay at over the years? I mean, obviously she feels comfortable. Where did all that just all of a sudden appear from?
If you remember,
How did she make that decision?
if you remember a couple of years ago when Kathy Keefe was still the assessor, we did another one of these transfers to balance a budget in a tight year, where we didn't use any free cash to balance the budget, but technically used some overlay surplus and a couple of other one-time revenue sources. So we've tapped this in the past. This is really just they project how much they're going to need to abate, and if the abatements come in lower, it grows year over year. And every couple of years, you look at it and say, do I really need 700,000?
Yeah.
When we spend,
It seems like a lot.
I was just gonna ask,
Like
do we
more
know
than
what we
what's
spend
needed.
annually.
they plan on requesting another. I think is it like 400,000, 390 something.
No, it's 400,000 total, but they have 65, so it's 340.
Yeah.
The numbers, there were lots of numbers thrown around that way. So the meeting is on tape, but they're going to give back, and Mary Beth and I have talked about this twice, they're going to give back, transfer from overlay reserve to overlay surplus, 225. But then they are going to request, and this doesn't come to us, this is just, it's part of their process. The Board of Assessors has total control over this overlay money. They're going to request something that will bring their balance back up to 405. So they think they've left themselves with 65. They're going to move 340 of their revenue into overlay reserve, anticipating that they're going to have to pay maybe 400,000 next year. Wendy, the assessor, I can't remember her name.
Wendy Jones.
Thank you, Wendy Jones. It's a tough name to remember. She was, I think she was being very conservative last Tuesday, saying, I don't want to have such a low overlay reserve that I can't meet all of our obligations. But the question is, why are you giving us back money why don't you keep the 225 and add whatever little bit more you need, but I guess to help out fiscal 26, the Board of Assessors saw how much money they had in overlay surplus, or overlay reserve rather, and decided this would be a time to offer it up to the town in case the town chose to use it for a very tough budget.
Are there funds that we have depleted in the past that are not recurring one-time expenses that should be refilled?
Okay, funds depleted.
So I remember somebody talking about, the need to replace a fire truck at some point,
Yeah.
years in the future,
Yeah.
right? And that's been drawn from in the past. If we are looking to replenish with non-recurring expenses.
It's a 30-year-old engine, needs to be replaced.
Right, so I'm just thinking if we're looking for ways to, yeah,
One-time expenses.
right, one time.
Yeah, use one-time money for one-time expenses.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that because if we use it for recurring expenses, all we're doing is we're delaying the effect of the budget.
Right.
That's all. We're not fixing anything. We're just pushing off a decision until next time. So,
Did you say you're not in favor of using it
for recurring,
for recurring?
yes, I understand the need, and I can, I liked what you'd said at the beginning that it should be an opportunity for these departments to maybe make a case, and then we have to look at it, but we also should be looking at prioritizing. Like Justin said it, but health and safety should, in my opinion, should always be top of the list, right? People's lives have to matter there. But then after that, how do we break it down? Do we go towards revenue generating departments first? They bring money in, so would it make more sense fiscally to give them the money to operate, to bring in more money? We had that discussion about the ambulance, right? Got fire.
Yep.
They can't have an EMT, which means we have less revenue. So we should probably look at that piece just as a committee for future guidance.
Okay.
And if I may,
Yes, Chuck.
as I look at the list, to me, if we were to, if we were to recommend some of that money going out, even though with recurring expenses, some of these other departments, their positions cut and not filled. But I think for public safety, police and fire, they already have their guys. It's more or less about covering shifts, covering overtime, So it does just add to public safety. So if I was to sit here and if that was a question to me, that it was going to be used somewhere in this, I would probably lean towards the 3 and 4 public safety, I feel, just because, you know, wouldn't want to bring back somebody for 1 year, that some of the other departments lost, and then where do we get the money next year? At least, I just see that as a little, if we didn't have the money next year, then they wouldn't be covering shifts again, which, being here this many years, I know that this has happened in the past, and that's not what we like to do, but it's something where we can still operate with. That's my thought on just that quick snapshot of everything.
And Mary Beth did say, I'd hate to hire someone back only to have to fire them again. That's cruel. Just let them get a job and get on with their life.
Right.
But at the same time, I did not want departments that sometimes hear through the grapevine after things have happened that there was money available and they didn't have an opportunity to at least plead their case. I know that,
Right.
I can't remember her first name. She's Board of Health, her last name's Clancy. Danielle Clancy.
Danielle. Oh, yeah.
Danielle
Yep.
Clancy got up at town meeting again and very diplomatically but firmly said, are we not part of public safety, the health department? And we're losing, I think they lost a part-time
Yeah.
clerk.
Yep.
And actually, now that you say that too, some of theirs and some of the funding for some of their programs, it sounded like they were expanding and helping too. I guess I'd kind of add that in as, like you said, but not like hiring somebody back. That's a hot, you don't want to hire back and let go.
No. So I just needed to have a discussion here, so the next time I'm asked the question, what's the FinCom's position on using this 225? And I'm not sure that we have one yet, but it's
No.
forming. Thank you, Justin.
Okay.
I, for one, am very concerned about using non-recurring money for it's not for one-time expenses. And I thought one of the policies that the select board voted last year was we will not be using free cash for recurring
Yeah.
expenses.
Yep.
And this is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
If we follow this proposal, this is one-time funds. Where's it going to come from in fiscal '27? It's only making matters worse.
Yeah.
Normally, I would definitely agree with you.
Mhm.
But with the situation that we're in for the next few years, I think we're gonna have to use Band-Aids for everything, every year.
Then the select board
Until-
has to rescind their policy.
Yeah.
You can't have a policy that applies to everyone except police and fire.
Yeah.
I mean, how are we gonna get through another year if we're down $1 million again? I
don't.
mean, you can't do it.
Yeah, I
So, I mean,
asked.
the way I see it is you gotta do it. Like, we really don't have I don't have an option. I mean, I think we're gonna be going through this every year for the next 5 years until we free up that money from the Plymouth County.
Well, there's another topic that we'll be discussing.
Yes.
You know timeline on all of this? The timeline on all of this?
For what?
For allocating them? No,
Oh.
sorry.
We need to make this.
For allocating the money, I mean,
There'd have to be a special town meeting in December, and that's not a given.
right. So what's
So-
the practicality of it getting used then to,
I know.
Yeah.
Like, how are the police and fire chief handling their budget now?
right, are they presuming this is coming?
Yeah.
And then they're gonna say, well, we don't have enough money to cover our regular shifts because we assumed that was coming to us?
And what
Right.
both chiefs did one year was came in at town meeting, and each of them received $90,000.
Right.
That the FinCom said, for what? We received no information and opposed it. It's not we oppose the fire or police department. It's like, we don't know why you need this. You can get up at town meeting and tell them, but should we have some information first before you go? So that's a possibility that they come in June, or come in May, and say, we're 100,000 short.
Right.
Yeah.
Problem with that is if you've spent the money, it's not asking for it, it's we've spent it, I need to pay the bill. It's a very different way of coming to whether it's the select board or the finance or the town.
About the town meeting.
That's not the way. I wouldn't do that in my personal finances. Sorry.
What also makes it hard here is this, we didn't promise 75,000. That truly is, a surprising semi-guarantee.
Yes. That wasn't really discussed
So if-
extensively at the
yeah.
at the
So let's just say if
Guarantee that didn't happen.
if this overlay money wasn't available, they'd just be making do with what they got. too.
Right, they have to say, sorry, the ambulance receipts did not come
Did
in.
not come in, so
thought
we're
they-
stuck in this place. Because again, like, the new ambulance, a big chunk of money towards that. I mean, new fire truck.
Fire truck.
That's still public safety that, will take a little bit of the sting off somewhere over the next few years possibly too. So that makes a lot of sense as well.
And that's what, a $2 million price tag for that.
1.6 million.
For the new
Which will only go up by the
If-
time we actually.
If we order it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's a 4-year wait,
Yes.
but when you put the order in, it locks the price today. So every year that we wait, it goes up another $20,000 to $30,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
All right, well, we're not taking a vote on this, we're just discussing it.
Yeah, it's good information to have. I did see it in your email, so
yeah.
I was starting to try to think about it. But
Yeah.
this is helpful.
So the 225 has been voted by the
So-
Board of Assessors and is now in overlay surplus, but it's just sitting there.
Yep.
And there are, right now, no plans to spend it. There'll be discussions, I'm sure, at future select board meetings, and then they'll trickle their way over to us. But as I said, I was asked to go to the meeting, then I was asked, so what does the FinCom think about this? I said, hey, we haven't met, so
Yeah.
I can't really speak for them. I can speak for myself, and it's like, I don't know. I haven't had any time to think about it.
It is to help you with guidance there. I mean, I would be happy to make a motion that, where our stance is to open the opportunity for those who had budget cuts to come in and plead their case. I know it's not the right word, but, basically plead their case for potential monies that we may have. And then at that point, I don't know, maybe it's us, maybe it's the board, maybe it's the select board, right? But then we actually have something to talk about. Very, very clear. It's kind of it's a little vague right now.
Okay. So the motion is to open the opportunity to other departments as listed here, departments that experienced cuts
The experience cuts.
in personnel,
Yep.
and have them come to the FinCom and plead their case.
To
They are,
to discuss the potential of returning some or all of the funds that they experienced in fiscal '26.
okay,
Well,
And how it would help their budget or affect their.
Yeah.
and some of them are small potatoes. $11,000 for the health department, $15,000 for the council on aging. That's not going to break the town. But
No.
they are not aggressive.
Again, they're recurring.
They are recurring, yep. It boosts the bottom line for fiscal '26, which boosts the bottom line for fiscal '27, which makes our deficit even bigger
I
than.
know, and we've all been trying to get beyond that.
But it does give us
Doesn't
the
feel like we're getting any
opportunity-
traction.
Yeah, but it also gives us the opportunity to, if they haven't thought about it,
Yeah.
the point that you made is this does not guarantee that your budget goes up for next year. So bringing a person,
Yeah.
was cutting a person, would you bring that person back knowing that you may not be able to bring them back the year after?
you may have the
Or would you
position.
use the funds in other ways to, I don't know,
And maybe if somebody felt strongly enough that it would have a big impact,
make you
even for the 1 year, whether it impacts the senior council on aging, yeah,
Well, they didn't have the advocates that the building department and the veterans agent had at town meeting. And we were down to $60,000 in free cash anyway, so there wasn't a lot of wiggle room on any of the rest of these positions that night.
right.
No.
Okay, do I have a second on Mike's motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
I would just say that we asked them to think about that fact, right? That when you come here, people don't be prepared to discuss how you're going to use it for this year. If it's for people, make it clear that this is a temporary position for this year only. And don't think about this
Yeah.
as funding for anything beyond
Yeah.
June 30th.
And it's possible somebody might look at that department head and say, well, I
not
don't
worth
want to
it.
hire somebody and I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We've managed so far without this
Yeah.
position. We can keep it.
So,
I have a question. So when will this money be appropriated? Are we going to be meeting with the head of departments before then anyway?
No.
No?
No, when we meet with the department heads, that's for fiscal '27. So that's not to revisit what happened in fiscal '26 and what would you like us to do. When they come in October, November, going forward, that will be the fiscal '27 meetings. So nothing's going to happen with this if the select board does not vote to have a town meeting and does not vote to put, a warrant on the article, not warrant article that spends this money in some shape or form.
And I can say in my 9, almost 10 years, whatever here, this is the first time anything like this is happening.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we'll have enough time to
Honor those,
Yeah.
do want to come in.
meet with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone who wants to come in, I'll post it as a meeting, as an agenda item on the meeting, to discuss the surplus, the overlay surplus, and how it should be spent.
Yeah, or they could send in a description, I think, as well.
Yeah, kind of like backup.
But I think you do want to frame it with, this would be potentially a one-time thing.
Not potential, I would say definitive. but-
Either or,
Yeah.
and that you need to also plan for this not being a position in the future. And I mean, if I was the one-time, part-time clerical position, I don't know if I'd waste my time.
Right.
No,
Because I don't want to waste anyone's time either,
I
because,
don't either.
I do feel a little bit strongly that it should be police and fire, because some of these other ones, as much as I'd like to hear their case, I don't think it would sway my vote
Okay,
one way or the other.
okay, so we ready to vote? Oh, Elizabeth?
Public forum for a minute, just because police and fire, very important, don't want to see anything get cut. But library has been cut, Board of Health has been cut. Those are very important positions, and I know 10 or 20,000 would go a lot further in those departments than it would in the police and fire. And it would be public outreach. So I just wanted to get that.
And even if we gave the 150 to the police and fire, it'd still leave 75,000 left for
Right.
other departments anyway.
Yes.
Right, so
Like we were
We
saying
need to
before.
allocate that.
That was 11,000,
Or we
that was
don't, but we
15,000.
could decide to
like I was
allocate.
saying, plead your case so that it's on the table, so it's out there, and these people, they probably
At
aren't,
least.
you know.
And at least they don't say, hey, nobody ever asked me.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
You can give them the opportunity.
That's
to
honestly
speak
our
up.
job.
Veteran services guy that was here.
Yeah.
The one
Yeah,
concern
yeah.
I
Came
did
in
have
That's a
was
need.
somebody
He
being
pleaded his
hired.
case
Refined.
on his own.
That's a need.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yes, and town meeting saw the need and someone
Yeah.
stood
Right.
up and made a motion and
Yeah.
so it passed.
So I think it's a fair ask if anybody feels strongly enough for it.
Okay, so the motion is to open up I can send emails if anything happens with this. I'm not going to be precipitous and say that this might happen. If the selectmen continue to pursue this discussion of spending overlay surplus, that I would have alert the department heads who had budget cuts, that we would like to hear from them as well, so that everybody has a hearing. We already know what the police and fire department arguments are. And so are we ready to vote then? All in favor of this motion? It's unanimous, so it's 7-0,
Al stepped out, so
and so people absent.
And he would be back.
Yeah. Okay. The next item on the agenda is me, FinCom initiative. Would we consider reducing the town clerk's salary, since the town clerk has chosen to close her office down to 3 days a week? She threatened to do it back in January or February when she met with us. If we didn't give her the $92,000 raise, she felt that she was entitled to the $92,000 salary. And she was going to cut it down to 2 days a week, as I recall. And now that she's lost a full-time clerk, she has closed the office on Thursdays. Michael is still here. Michael Ganchard is an employee. He's a union employee. He has to work a certain number of hours, so he's sitting behind closed windows. I do not know what he's doing, but I don't sense that it's an inconvenience for those of us who have to post agendas, that we have to get it posted. I have to have it in by Wednesday now. I can't wait till Thursday. I should develop a new series of time-conserving measures for myself and just post a month's worth
That's what I did.
on Tuesdays. Good, that would be wonderful. But is there any interest in pursuing, my suggestion would be to reduce the salary by the 2.5% raise. If you're not going to do at least what you did last year, why are we giving you a raise?
Okay.
Open it up to discussion.
So it opens a question. I've thought about this a lot, but I knew we were having a meeting, so I wanted to bring it up to everybody. So my first thought here was, and sorry, I work in the private sector, so this would never happen in private sector. It would happen for about 2 seconds, right? But my first question is the staff. If they are not working whatever the time is, whether it's 35 or 37 or 40, whatever their contract is, servicing the citizens, so sitting behind a closed window is not serving this, then they are now, in my opinion, they're part-time workers. Salary should come down, benefits gone, right? You're a part-time worker, you're not a full-time employee. So that's my first question is, because she doesn't want to be here, that's fine, you don't need to be here. Staff can cover it.
Yep.
So I certainly do not like this idea that you're shutting down the window and preventing people that we are paying to do the work, not do their work. So I am I love the solution that's there, but I am also still concerned about the fact that we have people that should be doing the work, whether the boss is not in the office or not. Much of the work can still be done.
But they're still doing work behind the closed doors, though, right? It's not like they're not doing anything. They just can't do multiple things at once, I guess. Can't come to the window.
You can't
they're
get a
down.
dog license, you can't get a marriage license, you can't get a public record, none of the stuff,
Can you do most of that online, though? I do my dog license online.
some of it you can. So I guess that's the question mark, which of course, if you can do all of that online, then I would next question, how many people do we have in that office if it's both mostly self-service or automated functions? But, yeah.
There are some things that still require coming in
Right.
person, right? Like marriage
They
license.
shut down for what?
New
one,
dog
one more
license,
day?
But
It's open
Stay
3
fine.
days a week,
Open.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Closed all day Thursday, and I come in on Thursdays frequently to meet with Mary Beth because it's one of the days that is less busy for her towards the end of the week. And it just galls me that window is closed. It's like, and I know that Michael is working behind the window on what I do not know, but I'm sure it's legit. He's just a wonderful employee.
guy.
But he has a boss who told him, close the window and don't meet with the public.
it's an elected position, correct?
Yes,
So there is literally no recourse from the town as to how that office is handled.
correct. And there is no recall petition in our bylaws, so that if anyone chose to do that, it's not allowed. We'd have to go through a bylaw study committee.
So I think it's absolutely ridiculous what she's doing here, and I think that should will hopefully be reflected at the upcoming election. Personally, I'm opposed to cutting her salary. I think it becomes a tit for tat thing,
You're right.
and that's personally where I'm at.
That's where I was a little bit conflicted too. I understand, but then on the other hand, that I just feel like, yeah, it could be.
But that's why she was very clear here when she met with us that she was going to go to one less day so that her hourly rate went up to what she felt it should be. So she's kind of taken that stance already and said,
Yeah,
you won't
I
pay me
think-
what I think I'm worth. I'm just going to only work enough hours that the hourly rate equates what I believe I'm worth.
Is there a bylaw that says she has to work so many hours a week? There isn't, right?
No.
Yeah, is the town clerk supposed to be allegedly full-time?
The town clerk can make her own hours.
So to me, I feel like
Hers.
this is the town's bylaws that she's not breaking them, right?
Right.
She's not actually doing anything in violation of her position. She's failing the public,
Yes.
and the public has a way to recourse just to vote at the next election.
Yeah.
You brought up a good question there. She has the right to set her own hours. Does it allow for her to set the hours of the office where everybody else is paid by the town?
I think that's a very good thing for us to
The
look
office
into.
That's a
versus the
good
salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
She does not need to
want
be
to work
there.
3 days, but
Yeah.
it's still open 4 or 5 or whatever the dates are. If
To me,
she
I feel
has
like
the right
that's-
for the whole department, okay, that's one thing. But
What was her argument for closing the window again?
she
lost
lost.
her.
She
She lost that part-time clerk.
No, full-time. There were 2 full-time clerks, and she lost one. So allegedly, they don't have the manpower to meet the needs of the public. I won't get into
yeah, it's
what happened on that first Thursday
Yeah.
and how the needs of some people were met.
Yeah, and if I may, I can relate to when it's election season, they are very busy. So that it would be a big hit there, but there's no election. And I'm conflicted too about tit for tat. But one thing that sticks with me is she had the Lexington plan available to her 3 years ago when she was going to retire. She bumped up her salary considerably, and typically people retire after that.
Right.
So now that didn't happen, and here we are in this situation, and it's like, hey, I'm here, but I'm closing the window, and I'm not serving the public. That part of me feels like I thought you were going to retire. You weren't going to stay in
Does
this.
everybody understand the Lexington plan?
No.
No.
So,
Which is an education.
Which is
So the short version of that is, it was a program put in for union workers that you would take 3 years at a 5% pay rise, and then you would retire, meaning that your pension would be reflected your 3 highest years, right? So it gave you a boost for 3 years, but also gave you a boost for your pension in perpetuity. But the understanding is that you would retire at the end of that. If you did not retire, then your salary returned to the pre-3-year amount, which is basically where she's at. And that's the issue for that piece, right? Is you said, no, I'm going to stay after the fact. Well, okay, but you go back to the 15% pay cut at that point, and you're back into a 2.5% rise. So that's kind of the background that Chuck talked to you about.
Yeah, and it's something that, well, I think there's only one more that might be available to, but we fought hard and long and thought that was eliminated a few times.
And yet there are boards that are independent of the select board that can negotiate with their.
Yeah, we didn't think it was we thought it wasn't, it wasn't a good service to the town to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
So that sticks in the back of my mind that I felt that she was ready to retire, and she decided not to. So,
Well, I don't disagree with the perception that this is tit for tat, but I sat and thought long and hard. The only people that she answers to is the voters, and FinCom sets her salary. And she has stated that when she's pleaded her case with us. We make the recommendation for her salary. I am intrigued by pursuing the bylaws, knowing that the bylaws don't exist for recall. That does the town administrator have the right to set the hours for all town offices? And if she doesn't feel like showing up because she's an independently elected official, that's fine. But her office should be open the hours that the town administrator sets. So I will town admin. It's going to be a bylaw change.
yeah, that's probably something good to have on there.
That would feel like a better solution than the salary. Like
I don't disagree with you at
somehow
all, Ed.
forcing that back open again.
It would sound very 21st century.
Yeah, no,
Just
I preferred that approach.
that would be.
But I was just so darn annoyed. It's like, this is knowing what you were doing the very first Thursday that you closed that window. You were here, you were doing something totally unrelated to town, well, somewhat related, officiating a wedding here in her robes that first Thursday. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. And I can't give Michael an agenda to post for a meeting next week. So,
I got to correct you.
yes.
You did make one mistake a short time ago. I just want to make sure we clarify that. You said that we set her, FinCom sets her salary. We do not. Town meeting does.
True.
I
We
just-
recommend.
You recommend.
We recommend.
Yeah.
Town meeting sets the salary with it.
Yeah, and this could only happen if this town meeting happens before the tax rate is set. Once the fiscal 26 tax rate is set, all of the expenditures are sort of frozen. We kind of tack it, but if the fiscal 26 budget is still open, is still fluid, then this could be done. And if there's no town meeting, tax rate would be set, and there's no way to address this. But I was just so annoyed that someone could have that dramatic a reaction when all of these other departments absorb hits, and they didn't pout about it. and they didn't post people's phone numbers for,
And they're doing their jobs properly.
yes,
I got a few phone calls.
what's that?
I got a few phone calls.
I didn't. Okay, so I just thought I'd bring it up. Would you prefer that I drop it and look into the town bylaws approach, or does someone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm comfortable tabling it if we want to look at the
Yeah.
town bylaw.
Okay,
Yeah.
Definitely something I would definitely consider next fiscal year.
okay. Look at bylaws. She's not up for election for another 2 years, so next year nothing's going to happen. But the town
Yeah, but we
bylaws,
can, yeah, we can do the salary recommendations.
yes, we can at a town meeting, but we can have the town administrator and the bylaw study committee look into how can town offices have established hours of operation, whether
Yeah.
their department head chooses to be there or not.
With employees present in the office.
Yes.
It's not like there's no one there.
Right.
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 Yeah.
That's the baffling part.
That is very bizarre.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think
You can
it's, I
understand if
think
there
it's a
was
great
that one
time to
employee
bring
and
that
there's no
question up on the
coverage there,
bylaws.
you can't have it.
Return to office, there's nothing for you to do, though.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that one. So it's tabled. I'll look at the bylaws and I will talk to Mary Beth and come back with, at our next meeting with some information. So now we're on to the fiscal 27 budget issues. And these were really precipitated by me listening to the August 19th select board meeting where at the very end, like I didn't listen to the whole thing because there was midway through there was a dog hearing. And I've sat through those before and they're nothing but unhappy. So I didn't watch the end of the meeting. And Mary Beth said, please watch the end. There's important business that took place, or discussions that took place at the end. So I did. And Sean Kane has worked very hard this summer on budget ideas for fiscal 27. One of them is restructuring the Plymouth County retirement payments that we make. Next year, it's scheduled to increase by $260, and the following year, fiscal 28, by $383. And that's one of the big, I think it'll be a 3 should get my computer up, like a $3.8 million payment to the Plymouth County retirement. And we aren't going to be out of the woods with them for another 5 years. I think it gets changed, but I think it's either fiscal 30 or fiscal 31. The Plymouth County Retirement Board publishes a document, and I've read it, and I said, yep, initially it was going to be 30, but now it's into 31. So this was Sean's way of looking at how can we free up that big hit that, each year we're paying millions of dollars to pay off our funded pension liability. And this was an idea he floated at the select board meeting, and I just thought I'd share it with you that the town would float a 10-year bond and pay less each year, spread it out over 10 years versus 5 years, and still there's a lot of discussion to be had about this. The feedback from all of the financial professionals, and this is with me talking to Mary Beth, is this is a terrible idea. If you wanted to float a bond, fiscal 22 was the year to do it when the interest rate was 2%. It's now 6%. Nobody's going to, it's not feasible. So at least Sean is still thinking creatively, how can we get out of this mess
Right.
that we're in?
Yep.
But it's something that's going to be continued to be pursued because once he gets his teeth into something, those of you who know Sean know he's not going to let go.
I watched
Can
that
you-
meeting. I thought it was
Sean's on the select board.
what's going to free up like $1 million a year?
What's that?
It's going to free up $1 million a year if we took that loan out.
Yes.
What does it cost you at the
At
end?
a 6%
Right.
cost
6%.
over 10 years.
Right.
But then you're kicking the can down the road a little bit.
But then after that 10 years, we get that money,
Well,
and that's
we
going
don't
to
have to
create
pay that money
interest.
after
Yeah.
that.
Right. Well. Right.
We don't really
But
get
it's
it.
going to.
Free it up at the end
Yeah.
of 10
Or
years.
there's no check at the end.
No.
And I know one of the comments, and it may have been Justin who said, when this is finally paid off and we go from paying $5 million a year to just the regular cost of the pensions, that's going to free up $3 million.
Right.
And then is it going to be a free-for-all for every department head to
Right.
say, whoa, we've tightened our belts for
Right.
the last 5 years. Now this is what we want. So it's an important issue to keep our eyes on.
Has the, oh, sorry,
Okay.
ahead.
No, Kevin?
has the issue of the bond rating been settled? Is that just with the school district?
That was just the school district.
Not the town
And I can
itself,
report
okay.
on that when I do the Whitman Middle School report. That the town has a bond rating. Chuck?
And then I was just wondering, I mean, all right, when that number gets done, I mean, there's still gonna be Plymouth County retirement money needed every year.
Yeah.
For retiring employees, town municipal
Yes.
employees. It's not gonna go away completely.
No, but what they're doing is they're playing catch-up for the unfunded pension liability. They're paying millions of dollars each year, so that the cost of the ongoing pensions is, let's say, $2 million, and the unfunded pensions are $1.5 million. So at 3.5, next year it'll be 3.8, the year after that it'll be 4 point something.
Oh, after all the catch-up, does anybody have any numbers like what it might drop to? I mean, I know it's in the future and that's hard to nail down, but any ballpark figures? Is it, how?
Didn't they talk, it's gonna free up like $3 million?
Yes, it's gonna free up $3 million
It depends.
potentially.
By the
Yeah.
last, compared
By
to
the last, after the 50, yeah, after
Yeah,
That's
30,
when we're paying
31.
5 million in that
Yeah.
year.
Because I don't remember, but in my 9 years, I remember that unfunded liability. This was something years ago that was kind of, we put a small amount of money towards it each year. And it was like, wow, we're getting away with putting a small amount of money. Well, it finally
Yeah.
caught up to us. I don't know if that's how every town did it. I'm
I
sure
think
there's a
yes.
lot that are in this trouble, but
If you want to read the Plymouth County Retirement Board's report, it's
Yeah.
online. And I looked at other towns, I said, yeah, they're doing the same thing we did.
yeah, so I got to think after having this happen, we can't go back to paying this much. I mean, it may be this much for the next 5 years, but we can't go back to that. So maybe it's going to be, what might that be?
Yeah.
Is there any way of projecting that before we all start thinking, oh, we paid that off, this is going to be available? How much? So that was just a thought.
All right, well, anybody else? I included it tonight because it was a big issue. It's a lot of money. It will impact if that's the way they
Yeah,
go.
and-
Yeah, I mean, just Chicago owes almost $36 billion in unfunded liability, the same thing. So, oh yeah, it's not gonna go down. I think I'm with you on this. I'm not comfortable with the 6% piece.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna really work. I think the idea has merit, but maybe we need to wait until the financial market supports this as a fiscally responsible action for us. And I think Michael's also asking a great question, which is, let's do some forward projection
Yep.
on what this means to us long-term.
And get some real numbers.
Yeah, because I have heard several times that they're using, they're saying that when this is done, the birds will be
60,
singing and the sun will be up, but I don't know. And I know we're not getting money back, but it may free up money in the budget, but what's a realistic expectation based upon number of employees? What is that rate? How does it go up? What's the rate of increase?
yeah.
And those are funny numbers
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, but it's such a big chunk of our budget. Like, we can't control it. This is what Plymouth County bills us. I don't. Sean threw it out there that night and I said, all right, I got to follow up on that one.
Yeah, like you said, it's creative and it's
Yeah.
got merit. Unfortunately, yeah, that 6% rate right now is not very attractive.
Okay.
It's also like, if it's going up 383,000 in fiscal 28, it's also gonna find that $400,000 somewhere too,
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
going to come from.
Yeah,
That's why we had a $2 million override this year. We needed it and didn't get it. And
Well,
can't not pay this.
You're seeing it drop off now. Florida, which has its own things, right? But they have been negotiating pension out, particularly for the police forces down there. No longer. They are coming up with a 401k kind of methodology.
Sustainable.
Yeah, but it isn't. Pensions, when everybody had pensions, but, look at Polaroid.
yeah, right. Yep.
But
Okay. Anything else on this topic? Okay, the next one, and these were all topics brought up by Sean. Has to do with the fact that the town does not account for the indirect costs pertaining to the voluntary trash recycling service. So those of us who use the town's recycling service pay, what, $350 a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an issue.
That is calculated not including the indirect costs being the town treasurer collector comes up with the bills, prints the bills, mails the bills out, takes the money in. So there are people in town hall being paid for out of the regular operating budget who are not paid for out under the trash fees. So the thinking was shift the cost from the taxpayers to the ratepayers, those of us who do have trash recycling. And it would increase the trash rate by $25 a year, but I don't know that it would free up money. It would just have someone else paying the money.
Yeah.
It was mentioned, and
Well, it should add revenue, right? I mean, because there's not an additional person doing that right now.
right. Mary Beth led me to believe that it would be a wash, but that was quickly tonight before I came in.
To me, that feels
That
like that's to
smelled
be,
good, though.
yeah.
And that increase would be on top of what other increase is likely to come every year.
Yes, there's a new trash contract, so the rate's going to go up next year anyway.
And I don't think that would go over very well with the taxpayers with all the other increases, but, but, so a wash might not be worth it.
Okay.
Do
Anyone
we
else?
have any information?
Why are we doing this? Just for paperwork? Like, don't they see paperwork for taxes anyway? Like, why is this anything different?
We did this for something. The DPW water department pays indirect costs. So we bill them indirect costs, but the water bills are significant.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like your trash.
Yeah.
So it was, the town treasurer collector's office does spend a lot of time working on the DPW, not the highway, but the water department's bills. So they do pay indirect costs. We see that in the tax rate recap at the bottom.
I'm just not understanding how it comes out to a wash. I mean, if this is new revenue coming in, it's an expense that's already accounted for.
Yeah.
How is this not
Yeah,
additional
right.
revenue?
Okay, I'll ask Mary Beth.
Because if it is additional revenue, it's $25
more
times how many houses?
Right.
Right.
What does that actually bring in? And where would that go towards?
Okay.
I mean, they're trying to
Right,
generate
is it
revenue.
protected for then the treasurer's office only can count that for next
Yeah.
year's budget? Yeah.
And I wonder how much work it is actually here in town. I'm in the print business and there's all kinds of data. We do all the community electricity. I don't know if you've heard, all the towns that are getting these aggregate things. We produce all those letters that go out and all the opt-outs for all these other towns that have been doing it. Whitman might have been done while I was on vacation. But, so I don't know, what kind of system are they using here? If you're farming out to print 10,000 trash bills, it can't cost that much. I don't know if she thinks it's taking a lot of time for whoever's working on it here. Is that the thought process?
This was Sean saying, we don't do indirect
Yeah.
costs, even though the trash collection is different from other services that we offer. So shouldn't the trash collection users be paying for the indirect costs?
So it's fun.
We just don't have enough information.
Right.
It's,
How far?
I'd want to know, how many people are on it.
You could
what
say,
would be the income
$25
from
a
that,
household, what
what's
does
the
that
cost?
actually bring in?
Yeah.
It's $250,000 if there's 10,000, but I don't think there's that.
I don't know if there's 10,000,
Right.
yeah.
Houses.
I'll do the mail for that.
Multifamilies.
Multifamily, what's
Yeah,
that?
they're even more.
That would be a number to look at. You could look at it that way and say,
I'll do the mail.
Yeah.
Put the family on that.
I'll get more information for you, but I didn't want it to be such old news that we
Yeah,
talked about. Right, and then the ambulance account. Sean wanted to improve the efficiency by, I think the chief's position has always been, he doesn't want to,
Burden the taxpayer.
no, he doesn't want a little old lady who can't afford to pay for her ambulance ride to the hospital to be harassed by collection agencies. And the question is, how much of the outstanding unpaid ambulance bills are little old ladies who don't have the money versus, which seems to be the case, people who don't give the ambulance drivers their insurance.
Right.
So they don't have the insurance. All you have to do is take your bill, return it with, here's my Medicare number, here's my Blue Cross number, I have ambulance coverage, and a significant percent of the unpaid ambulance bills would be covered by insurance.
And most of them do cover it. Medicare pays, I believe, once a year over a certain age. An ambulance ride. My father had a few of them. She had to go to the hospital one time, and then he had the doctor, which the insurance covered it, and then his doctor, he had his hip surgery, and the doctor transferred him to his doctor's office, sent him home with an ambulance, and that he got a bill for that.
You got a bill for
And I
that?
said, you know what, don't pay it, you know? Just
there are
work out a payment
circumstances.
plan.
There are, yes, there are
Yeah.
circumstances where you incur the debt yourself.
Yeah.
But there are circumstances where if you're having a heart attack and you
Yeah.
can't call around to say, are you in my network? And that was not the town's problem, that was my insurance company's problem. I said, so my husband should have been looking for, are you in my network? Are you in my, what network are you in? So it was my insurance company that changed and said, you're right, life and death situations, you shouldn't have to be shopping around. But,
Does it sound like this might be just something a little bit more, work to make sure that,
that the chief has to have a system. This is more an administrative thing. That the chief has to have a system for deciding who to forgive. And there has to be criteria. It's not like, you're my next door neighbor, I'm going to forgive you your balance. But, hardship versus someone who just didn't fill in their insurance.
right, yeah.
I feel like a lot of that is that he said that people just don't realize they have to fill out the insurance part.
Right.
I wonder if there's an easier way to make it bold. Hey,
A
check
follow-up
this.
or something, yeah.
And the
yeah,
insurance
or-
pays it, you know?
Yeah.
You know how big the pot of that unpaid ambulance is?
It's significant, but I don't have a number. But it's enough to go after. Mary Beth was throwing numbers around fast and furious. I said, I'm losing track of this conversation. 30%, we only get 30% of the revenue. I can't believe that.
30%?
Well, 30% of the charges, maybe because it's only what the insurance company pays us back,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
Medicaid pays
How was it with the
pennies on the
previous
dollar.
chief, though? How was it with the previous chief? Was it more lucrative back then, wasn't it?
Maybe Chief Clancy has a softer heart and doesn't feel that he should be going after people who can't afford it. I
And
don't
there's
know.
also been a shift, right? Like insurers aren't paying as much, and
Yeah.
if there's a heavier government payer mix now versus private payer
Right.
mix,
And
you
yeah,
have that
there was a
issue.
lot of worry there for a while that they were going to cut the rates so low.
Yeah.
And I know back the previous chief.
But all that goes back to we should be getting whatever we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can all agree that the healthcare system needs fixed, but it is not the job of the fire
if you have-
department
yeah.
chief to fix the healthcare system.
Right. If you have if the insurance is there, whatever the circumstance, well, at least there should be a set of guidelines, just like the, what did we enact this year? Some of that money for the veterans donations, or whether it's abatements or something. There should be some structure.
I think it starts with proof that you don't have insurance.
Yeah, proof you
Or
don't
at
have.
least you have to.
It's one thing if you have it. If you don't have it, then you
Yeah.
can look at it case by case.
Yes.
That's a little hard in Massachusetts. Right. It's, you've made it almost impossible to not have insurance.
Yeah.
And Massachusetts has a
Thankfully.
very good program.
Thankfully.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Massachusetts has a great process for those who have financial difficulties.
Right.
So it probably is. I was just wondering what the, I'm going to be insensitive about it, but the age group that is there an age group? Is that a demographic to it? Because my first thought was, maybe there's something where the Council on Aging might be able to help. Granted, they might need additional resources to do this, but person there, if that was an issue, that elderly people tend to use the healthcare system, or it's just the fact that as we get older, we have to rely on it. But if we already have a Council on Aging, they could help. They already have a relationship with
They
those
do,
people.
and they do know the people who need help in terms of like the group that's working on getting the contributions to elderly and disabled veterans' tax bills. They know who the people are.
So, that may be a better venue than the fire department doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Fire department's there they're the just in case
They
group.
just have to say, what's your insurance
Yeah.
information?
Yeah.
Please fill that out and get back to us.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll be meeting with Mary Beth to follow up on all of these, but wanted you to be part of very helpful discussions tonight. Anything else on this? Okay, so then Mike's not here to report on the DPW. I'll update you on the Regional Agreement Committee. The Regional Agreement Committee voted last Wednesday night to send the regional agreement to the next phase, which I believe is Town Council and DESI. It needs to be approved. I'm sad that they did not changed the transportation language, but there was no, the voters, it was 4 people voting, 2 from Whitman and 2 from Hanson. There was no way that Hanson was going to vote for anything that incurred additional costs to them. I haven't given up on it. I've been fighting it for 4 years, but at this point, we've been working on this revised agreement rather, that cleared up a lot of loose language. And Hillary Niffen was the chair, and she said, "Can't we just stop now, agree on this, and then take up transportation and any of the unresolved issues again?" And I said, after 4 years of fighting the battle, yes. So the regional agreement is in the hands now of, I believe, the attorneys. I'll have to listen to the meeting again because it got, were we going to send it to all 3 attorneys, or are we going to have Desi do it first? There's a process. So hopefully at the 2027 town meeting, we will have a revised regional agreement that clears up a lot of really just messy language. So that's that report. Whitman Middle School building. I did sign the final beam. It was raised last Friday. That was exciting. Yep. I was in North Carolina, but did phone in last Tuesday night when we had the middle school building committee meeting. And I have some questions that you can't really do it over the phone. So I have to, the next time we meet, bring up some of the questions that have been raised here. One of them being borrowing. I did ask Jeff after the regional agreement meeting. The audits are in process. The fiscal 22 audit is done. Fiscal 23, a management letter had to be sent out. Fiscal 24 is almost done, and then they'll get started on fiscal 25. So I said to him, will we have a bond rating before we go out to bond again? And when do you anticipate going out to bond again? Because the building committee doesn't vote it, and the school committee doesn't vote it. It's really the financial people in the school department that say, you know what, we have $40 million, we've spent 26, we can project that by December we're going to be out of money, so we're going to have to go out in November. So he said, with fingers crossed, that they would be going out in February. But I'll have another follow-up meeting with them because I didn't have they didn't give me the one piece of paper I wanted, which was how much have we received from the MSBA. I know we have borrowed $30 million. I know with a significant amount of that, it's a 66% reimbursement rate, but of the eligible costs. Not everything's eligible. And so we didn't get 66% of $30 million, but we have some significant amount of money back from the MSBA. So it might be $15 million. And there is the new, it's called a PFA. It's the agreement for, since we've saved $15 million on the construction costs, we had $106 million budgeted, and Fontaine Brothers came in at 91, so that's a $15 million savings that the building committee voted not to spend, because there was the option to add, it's going to be solar ready, but we're not going to install the solar panels. And there were all sorts of good reasons and bad reasons for the decision we made. The biggest was we don't want to spend the $15 million. Give the taxpayers a break. So we have a new PFA from the MSBA. MSBA is the Massachusetts School Building Authority that's funding this project. And again, I was in North Carolina, so I didn't have a printer to print out the PFA, but it does readjust the spending.
Did he answer the question of if he anticipates the bond rating being ready?
He did not, because he needs, fiscal 22 is done, 23 and 24 have to be done before we get it. So no, that was at the end of a long meeting where he was trying to get home and I was trying not to keep him too long. But I said, Jeff, I have some questions for you. I have that list of questions for him, Kevin, that I will pursue.
So as of right now, we pulled out 30 million?
We have a $30 million ban.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a bond rating.
Right.
We went out for a ban. The ban has to be paid next March, I think. So we'll be borrowing before next March to pay the $30 million ban plus whatever additional amount of money we need to borrow to finish the project. So that's the MSB Middle School Building Committee report. But the school, I've been up there a couple of times because my grandson is playing soccer, so the Jackson Field is where he practices. And it's just so exciting to see that building going up. With 2 grandchildren currently in the middle school, the existing middle school, and my my granddaughter just graduated from it last year. It's like, you do not want your children in that building. You do not want your children in that building, and it would be such an improvement. Yes, it's expensive, and I know people are still mad about it, but it will be such an improvement over what's existing that just needed to be done. And they're under
huge.
budget.
It's huge. I live on that street. I go by
Yeah.
it every once in a while. I'm like, holy cow.
It
3
is.
stories.
It is. It is 3 stories. But the committee voted, and I think it will be a huge, and it's going to be at the back of the property with all of the parking and the, I guess there's the athletic fields will be reconfigured in the existing space, so it will be a huge asset to this town. And then the capital committee I put down because we have not met yet. So it's only September, but capital committee requests are due October 1st. Mary Beth Carter sent out an email to the chair, and last year's chair and vice chair of the capital committee, and didn't receive any information back. So she's just going to, executive authority, come up with an email to all of the department heads to say, we need your capital requests by October 1st, and then get the members of the capital committee to agree to a date that we'll get started and work on that.
What's considered capital?
Anything over, I think it's $10,000 with a lifespan of, I don't remember what it is, Kevin. We're going to be much more strict this year because things came in after the wire. It's like, what kind of deadline don't you get? We're working on deadlines. We're busy people. We're working very hard. And so if it's not in by a certain point, a certain date, like here's your deadline, then sorry, you didn't get it in. You did not get it in on time. You can get it in, and then we may have questions and get more information to us. But if you haven't asked for it by October 1st, you clearly don't really need it. And that's where I stand on sort of the committee reports. I did attach this past year's departments and liaison, and you came in after. And Kevin, you came in way after anybody was looking for the liaison. So I'm not looking for it tonight, but you have the list. Anybody who's currently assigned to well, I know that you, Al, are going to have to change one of your.
Yeah, I just stepped down from the police department.
Yeah.
So who wants it? It's a fun position. Police chief, the deputy chief have been fantastic over the past 3 or 5 years. With them. And they work well with us. So whoever wants it, I'll introduce you to both of them. And they'll give you a tour of the police department. They'll give you a couple of patches and stuff like that. But they're really nice. And then the chief handler's get out of free jail practice. But chief handler's been fantastic with Joe Bombardier, the deputy chief. So,
Okay.
No.
So just give it some thought. Veteran service, that was Ralph's assignment, and Ralph was a veteran. It made sense that he was the veterans agent. I don't know if any of you
I'll do it.
is a vet.
I'm not a vet, but I don't know how to do it. I'm married though.
You're married?
Joe.
Are you married to a vet?
No.
None of the rest of you is a veteran.
No.
Okay, so,
Husband is.
okay, Al, and I'm not going to take, Al, thank you for volunteering for that. But the rest of you, if you're on a committee that you'd like to switch, or there's a vacancy here that you're interested in, or if there's a committee that somebody's already serving, but you're interested in learning that, at some point in time, I'm stepping down. And the Whitman Hanson School Committee position is huge because it's a 60 plus, almost $70 million budget, and it's not easy.
Stepping down from what?
From the Whitman Hanson School
all right.
Committee as the liaison.
Scare me over there.
Settle down.
Joe, tell yours. Make it tell yours.
Had to get him away from the window.
There are things I'd like to do, I did commit to the 3-year term, so that'll be 3 years from now. I'll rethink it when I'm 77.
Keeps you young though.
Yeah, it does. So just take a look at, and all of these committees down here, bylaw study, finance committee, there was no one assigned to any of those. It's just the last committee that has a liaison is the select board. So you can sort of cross off this group down the bottom.
Anything below? No. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I have for tonight.
Can we go back to the subject that we took a vote Al wasn't here, I'm not sure if you need to abstain from that vote or
Oh, yes, we did
make
have,
a motion to bring people in to state their case for available funds that might be out there.
so we talked, while you were not in the room, we talked about the $225,000 that the Board of Assessors has released from reserve to surplus. And the fact that this piece of paper here lists all of the departments, the last
Yeah.
one in bracket, who suffered cuts.
Yeah.
And do we want to give all of the department heads who did have budget cuts the opportunity, since it's the Finance Committee that makes the recommendation, if the Select Board decides to have a town meeting and recommend appropriating some of this 225? None of the rest of the boards have had a chance to even know about this 225. They might have read about it or heard about it. So Mike Warner made a motion to open the opportunity for other departments to plead their case. So that,
Absolutely.
okay. So do we want to retake the vote? I don't know what Robert's rules. Or I can just say, ask Al join the meeting. Al rejoin the meeting.
Yeah. Believe it.
Robert's rules.
And is in favor of this motion. Okay, so then the last order of business tonight is really to come up with the time to meet for our next meeting. I don't think we need anything in September. There's a lot of stuff going around.
Before we jump into that, a couple of things
Okay.
I want to throw out to the group here. I did a lot of the organization of last year's meetings,
You did.
and I had a few thoughts to kind of throw out there. Last year we started the week after Thanksgiving, so beginning of December. And again, these are when all these departments come here, tell us what they did, what they'd like to do, and we talk money. The idea is after that, we as a committee talk about it and say, what can we support? What do we not want to support? That sort of thing. So we have the ability to give our feedback to the select board. But first I thought about it. We had a lot of meetings where we had 3 or 4 groups here, and they would come in for 15-minute slots, and it didn't work for some of them. So my thoughts were, if we have about, this is not everybody on this list, by the way, comes here. Some of them we don't, like this school committee will come and tell us, but we really have nothing to say about it. And some of them don't have anything necessarily for us, but there was about 15 that will actually be here. If we did 2 a night, and if we start at 6:30, we do one at 6:30, meet, they have a half an hour. So those that need it, take it. If not, okay, it's a lighter night. But we have the time after the second half hour, we talk about it right then and there while it's fresh in our heads. Then an hour, so it's a half an hour for them, half an hour for us to discuss, half an hour next group. And if we did 2 of those each night, it's basically 7 nights of meetings. If we can pack them in, I'm sure there'll be a couple of, moving things around. But I felt sometimes we were a little rushed last year. So that's my first thought. Second was, I'd like for us to have a little more information than we had this last year. I'm an advocate of having 3 years. I'd like to have 5 years of budgets. What was it last year, the year before, so we can actually look and see what's been the rate of growth for each of these departments, hopefully by line number. But I'd also like to add to that budget. Did they stay in their budget? Did they have to come back for more? Was there allocation from, town meeting that went beyond the budget that we had approved? Was there any income? We have several groups here that have income. We have no idea what it was. And when we asked them last time, they didn't know, which scares me. So I'd like to have that ability to say, what's the ROI on this? You're doing this and it's costing us that, but if you don't know if it's making money or not, well, why are we doing it? So I'd like to be able to try and get that information from probably our accounting team would have something with that. And then the others, I had mentioned this earlier, but we should come up with a prioritization so we have our discussions. The health and safety, I think, Al, you said the same thing I am. I'm always going to go in health and safety first. But what after that? You know, is it education? Is it revenue sources? It would be, if we could have something there, then when we have to make those tough decisions, we at least have a guideline to say, well, here's the criteria that we should think about, and then humanity comes in on top of that. And last thing, I really want to get the status and info on the union contracts that they signed this year. What's the funding? What was the rate of increase? Step increases, were they taken into account? Because if we agreed to a 2.5%, for example, for one of the unions, right? We know we can get a 2.5% increase in budget because that's what we're allowed by law to do without an override. And I have no hopes for an override next year. So if they negotiated 3 or 4% raises, I have a real concern about that ability. It means immediately we're starting in a deficit. We have to figure out somebody has to pay to cover the union contracts. But right now I'm blind to that, or we're blind to that.
Well, those contracts are online. The DPW, the town
We
hall
can see them that
employees, and the library.
Okay.
Police and fire still haven't solved,
They still
It's still not done yet, huh?
They still haven't settled.
Wow.
And if they don't settle, then there's no point in having a December town meeting, because the point of the December town meeting would be to vote to fund, to accept the contracts.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're dragging their feet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know the nature of the disagreements, but
Yeah. Well, it's probably around money, which I get, but you know, we're tough. But I those were my notes as I was thinking about it. You know, we did some good stuff last year. I thought sending out the email at the beginning, giving them some times, we come up with a piece. You know, might want to reorganize a little bit. I know we had a couple of groups that didn't want to meet with us right at the times we wanted to, and
Right.
it actually caused a problem because they're bigger budgets. I understand their mentality on that, but we should have that conversation there. But okay, thanks.
Good
Let me
points.
bring them out.
Yeah.
Just stuff to think about. you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I know we talked about
Mike?
this, I think it was last meeting and the meeting before, but I would definitely like a full meeting before town meeting. The one in June at least, because I didn't like that half hour when we had to
Yeah.
knock
So you
off
have
all
a
that
minute
money.
and 30 seconds.
Right.
That
Well,
was
we had the veterans kit come into
Right.
it, kind of doing
Yeah.
a lot of
Well,
that.
if,
full
but
meeting before.
they weren't ready with the numbers for us at our previous meeting.
Yeah, this past year was a mess. It seemed to be going swimmingly. And
Until the override finished.
we finished early, we didn't have to meet, Tuesdays and Thursdays in
We
the
didn't
last 4
plan for
weeks.
the override fairly.
But I think we also have to talk about, do we go in with a contingency budget, which we did not do this year. I am planning to go to the Association of Town Finance Committees on, I think it's October 18th. I've shared that information with you guys. And they had, when I did my registration, is there anything that you'd like to discuss? And I said, yes. How did towns handle failed overrides? Did they go in with contingency budgets, or did they have to go through exactly what we did? Like, all right, now we have to cut. So I've put that in as a discussion topic for the ATFC on the 18th, and hopefully somebody with some knowledge.
Yeah, that would be good if somebody had some thoughts on that, because a couple of years ago we did that.
Yes,
And at least it gave us, we had a better feel of where we were going to be.
yes, and I think we're probably going to be heading back to that,
I-
with override, without,
I totally agree.
because this year didn't.
Spend more time focusing on it without override.
Yeah.
But at
Yes.
least if you know,
Yeah.
as a voter, you can sit there and go, all right, it is this or that.
Yeah.
If you only have one option, then the only thing you're going to vote for at that point is your pocketbook. It really comes down to it. I don't know what the repercussion is for saying no to that override.
And we did a very good job, I think, of informing the town. There were opportunities
Yeah.
for towns members. We went over to the senior citizens at 10 o'clock in the morning, so they didn't have to come out at 7 at night, and then had 2 forums here. So the opportunity to be informed was there. And I don't do Facebook. I minimize my Facebook interactions. And some of the stuff that was on there, I said, did you not go to the meeting? No, you didn't go to the meeting because you don't know what you're talking about. It was exasperating when we did our best to inform the voters. But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them
Yeah,
drink.
that was, this
I would
last
think
season was the best,
Yeah.
best season the town put its, foot forward in trying to get that information out there.
Yep, and you're going to have to do it
If
again.
somebody didn't have the info, there was no one to blame but themselves.
Right.
I agree. I would do that same, whether, no matter what the end result is. Sharing that information in that forum was helpful. People, again, those who take advantage of it,
Yep.
but at least they understood what this meant. So,
Anything else? Any other discussion topics? Okay, is there a time in October that works? I don't have my calendar handy. I'll get it out. And that
7th is the first Tuesday.
October 7th. October 7th at 6:30. Does that work for everyone?
yeah.
I'll be around.
Okay, and I'll post for that. I will be meeting with Mary Beth on a regular basis now that I had a wonderful vacation in North Carolina, but I won't be traveling, and her vacations are done, so we'll find time during the week to meet and discuss and follow what the selectmen do. I know Sean works very hard on the budget, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the discussion. If the professionals, the financial professionals say this is a real bad idea, we need real numbers, we don't need. So I will get as much information to you as possible. And
And if you need help with, I kept all of the stuff from last year. It's in a folder. And I think I've shared it with you anyways, but if you need help putting any of that together, I am more than happy to do the scheduling or send out the emails or even these announcements. I had that down to a science. And,
Yeah.
You know, it takes something off your plate. I'm happy to do
I
it.
will be taking advantage of you then, Mike, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easy. Isn't it?
Okay, anyone have anything else for tonight? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Ian's motioned and Jason's
Second.
second. Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, everyone.